Hey, Guoba level 999 here again with a second video. How do you build Sparxie for Silver? What about Yaoguang? What should I pull extra? Today we'll be going through a few highly requested topics including these so you can get as much info as possible ready for your new Superwolf very soon. For any info on Silverwolf herself like builds and her stat goals, that's all in my previous video. So a like and sub if this video helps you out in any way, and let's begin with team builds. In Sparxie's videos, I'm pretty sure I said I'd address her builds at a later date, and well, now it's time. Since we're dropping Sparkle in the team, we no longer have an action advance, and so unless we want Sparxie to literally never act, we have to run speed boots. That much is obvious. But how much speed should we go? Some people opt for the above AHA speed breakpoint, which with a 200 speed Superwolf and 200 speed Yaoguang, very hard to get, but just as an example, would make Sparxie need to hit 148 speed. Now with speed boots, that's an extra 7 average speed substats you would allocate to hit this. She has to juggle attack, crit rate, crit damage, and now also go for high speed. Though, of course, some verticals can help with this, and it isn't hard to hit speed-wise, it's just a lot of juggling. And what do we get in return? We get some extra punchline before AHA acts, which can maybe hit you over 40 in some less chill fights, and there's also the potential to trigger some loot boxes if Silver is in God mode. The first problem is that allies are probably already capable of triggering 1 to 2 loot boxes, and so Sparxie acting ahead is going to get us 1 to 2 more, nothing more than that unless you're super lucky. Another thing is that at the end of the day, if Sparxie is acting after AHA, that's still possible loot boxes on the next elation skill reset anyway, as well as punchline for the next instant. We'd also get more SP to use from the elation skill Thrill, Yaoguang's SP, etc. And finally, AHA doesn't reset their AV on wave reset. And so in MOC, for example, you could build for speed to act ahead of them, and they could end up acting ahead of her regardless. You could instead opt for 133.4 Sparxie if you can get a 201 speed Silverwolf. This is about tuning for Superwolf rather than for AHA, because AHA can vary and will likely vary even more when we get more elation units. And Silverwolf's ult is the important part anyway. With a 133.4 Sparxie, we can still act twice in the first cycle, or 4 times in AA's first cycle. And then with the 201 speed Silverwolf, we can have Silverwolf, Sparxie, Silverwolf, Silverwolf, Sparxie. If we exit her ult on that third turn, we can then Yaoguang ult, Sparxie turn, generating enough MMR to instantly re-enter ult for a 4th EBA in 150 AV. If we had a 148 Sparxie here, she would just be generating punchline for a stronger elation skill and 3rd EBA, maybe 1 extra loot box or whatever, but a 4th EBA is just stronger. Sure, you won't get the very first elation skill to be buffed by Sparxie's punchline, but a whole extra EBA if you have an optimal Silverwolf build is way more significant than that. Also, technically the cursed Bonwhack Sparxie build lets you stack damage on the first elation skill anyway in wave 1. And if you don't have a 201 or 202 speed Silverwolf, then 134 Sparxie is still good because the slower Silverwolf is, the less she's generating SP-wise, as well as the slower AHA is, and so having a faster Sparxie will drain your SP even more frequently, and you'll have fewer chances to hit that +2 skill point refund, and you'll end up generating less punchline per turn whilst not acting in any extra substantial breakpoints. 148 is still good, or whatever speed you need to act ahead of AHA, and it has its uses, but there's my reasoning for why I like 134. 148, for example, can let you hit 40 punchline for AHA in some cases that you might not, and that means more MMR, which can lead to stronger EBAs early in Silverwolf's rotation. Still, it shouldn't be the power of an extra EBA, but that's only if that EBA actually happens within a breakpoint. Also, V2 Sparxie, just go 134. We'll see with much more testing on live which setup is best, and feel free to try both 134 and 148 for yourselves, and I don't think there's a permanent best yet. So for Sparxie with Silverwolf, we go speed boots or attack boots with loads of speed subs if going for 133.4, then attack orb, and then attack or energy rope. For the rope, I didn't really feel the difference in testing, it'll just depend on hitting an extra ult or not, which will seal the deal for energy rope, or if you can somehow hit the attack cap without an attack rope. Some scenarios you won't hit an extra ult, and sometimes you can alleviate the need for an energy rope with a Hua ult anyway. If you're going for a faster than AHA Sparxie, then you'll likely need the attack rope to avoid breaking too much of her damage. As for Yao, people ask if she changed, and I don't get why she would, but for Refresher, she just goes as fast as possible as usual. You can either put her ahead of Silverwolf for a potential extra loot box before her ult state ends, but just behind is what I'd recommend for ease of build. Ahead is a whole ton of speed needed. Either way, you'll need her S1 if Silverwolf also has hers. Basically, just try and sync their speeds somewhat close to keep a nice turn rotation where you can ult on Yao as soon as Silverwolf ends her God state. You compare this with the 134 Sparxie from earlier, and you have Silverwolf EBA into leave state, Yao ult, Sparxie punchline gen, Silverwolf ult into EBA. You could also use E1 Yaoguang to avoid the Sparxie part. Speaking of Sparxie, who do I pull for my Silverwolf? Well, the first piece of the puzzle is Yaoguang, at least in 4.2, that's just how it is. We knew she was potent for Elation on release, she is the sole Elation support after all, but it was normal to worry nonetheless, we know how gachas can be. Anyways, Yao is essential for Elation teams as of now. If you want to understand synergies and why she is so potent for Wolfie, my guide is there for that. However, Sparxie is still a powerful piece of the team and should not be underestimated. Is it kind of crazy we have 3 premium pools and it's only 4.2? Yes. Now, EMC is a fine alternative in her spot, sometimes clearing just as well, but you gotta remember, I tried to do the most optimization possible when testing characters, and EMC can be pretty highly optimized. So for more casual players, they might notice a more substantial performance gap between the two characters. There's of course that question of spending a limited pool on E1 Yao and keeping EMC, or going for E2 Silverwolf rather than spending those pities on an E0 or E0S1 Sparxie, and that's where EMC can be nice. But eventually you'll hit a plateau where E3 Silverwolf is whatever, E2 Yaoguang might not do much for you if your build is already optimal, you might have the SIGs already, and well, there's nowhere else cheap to go except Sparxie. And one underrated aspect of Sparxie is having more damage distribution in things outside of Silverwolf's turns and Elation skills, something about eggs in baskets. Imagine a scenario where you're at 10% HP on a boss's first phase. Would you rather use one of your 3 EBs to delete it, or would you rather have a Sparxie Elation skill or Enhanced Basic slam it down, and instead let your Silverwolf's high damage slap their phase 2 for free? If an EMC team led you to losing that EBA where a Sparxie team wouldn't, the damage difference between the two would be large. And that's one of the many reasons why teammate count comparisons can be misleading, because practice is so much more variable. Finally, Punchline won't be free forever, and at least until future possible teammates come out, Sparxie's generation is still potent. Though this argument is also kind of funny because do people seriously think they won't super show Elation the whole year and give Punchline the whole year? Anyways, on that note, for Sparxie pullers, EMC can also replace Yaoguang for now. But the performance difference between no Yao and having Yao is very large for both Sparxie carry and Silverwolf carry, but you can clear without her, and you can just get her on the rerun. But if you're lacking both of the premium 5 stars, well, then you have a problem. But I guess an EMC Asset comp would be one of your best bets until they rerun Elation Friends. If people can clear with 4 stars, I think we can clear with a half-functional Silverwolf. And then there's also the vertical question, who do I pull after E0 of everyone? Well, like I said in the past, I still don't think you need to vertical anyone yet. E0 S0 of the premium team, even without those speedy S1s on Yao and Silverwolf, will still clear everything. It might feel bad, it might feel clunky, but it will clear of course, that's just how it is. The damage ceiling of characters hasn't gone absurdly high yet to eclipse 3.x units, and Silverwolf doesn't feel like a giant upgrade, she's just a new top tier that still has potential premium units to boost her in the future. Nonetheless, you can't steal the people that want to know, and so I'd say the strongest upgrades are E2 S0 Silverwolf and E1 Yaoguang. If you only have 2 pities, then you could go for E0 S1 Silverwolf, but E2 S0 Silverwolf with E0 Yao is also acceptable. If you have Sparxie already, then E2 can be another nice boost, but if you'd ever pull it, you do it after the previous 2 upgrades. And for Lycones, the signatures of Yao and Silverwolf should be prioritized over Sparxie's too. Some people might have slightly different takes, so be sure to do your research from multiple TCs. And anyways, these are a ton of pulls for a completely strong team out of the box, so please remember to play and spend responsibly. But I believe those were the most important questions left to answer for Madame Emanator, and if I have time, I'll be answering some extra questions in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, enjoy your Silverwolf very soon, and have a Guoba day.